This is the Truth Frequency Radio Network.
We are TFR.
Truth Frequency Radio.
Well, hello out there. Hope you're doing all right. Walt here with the Ironworx on TFR. It is time to wake up, find some truth, get a little light into your lives. Let's look through some of this darkness, find out what's going on out there. Have a little technical difficulties this evening. Hope you're hearing me. We're not really sure. We've been kicked in and out of this thing about 17 times since we've been trying to get on about 30 minutes ago. Could be the internet, could be some mysterious sunspot activity. Who knows? There could be another eclipse going on they didn't tell us about. At this point, I would believe anything. Hope you're having a great morning, evening, afternoon, night, wherever you are across the plane here. In case you haven't heard, we here at the Ironworx tend to be a little flat about our thinking. We look at the world a little differently. Hope you like to look at things that way too. Well, man, it has been a crazy week, actually going on 2 weeks now for us. This is our second show. Hope you've had a good time with us. Bit of a bumpy start to tonight's show. Hope I get Josh back in here in just a few minutes. If we don't, well, then it's going to be the Walt show tonight. If you guys have any questions, pop it in the chat. I may not be able to see it. Like I said, we're having problems with this thing tonight. It's like a wild bronco try to ride. Hold on, get that 8 seconds. In the news this week, there's been some changes that have come to some of the things in our lives that we hold dear. We all kind of met on Twitter and decided we would get together and do a show on YouTube. That's kind of how we got to know Billy Ray Valentine and consequently got to know Chris Geo and the rest of the crew that we're getting to know here at Truth Frequency Radio. And we've had a little show on there called the Iron Rim Studios Flat Earth Friday Fringe Cast. Doing it for going on about 9 months steady. In that time, we've had hits, we've had misses, we've had a lot of technical difficulties ourselves. Some of these internet radio situations, some of these hangout situations. Call it what you will, call it shadow banning, call it algorithm problems, whatever you will. We've had issues where people we do know have definitely come in to the show on Fridays and let us know that, they're subscribed to us. They have our notifications set, but for some reason they're not able to see that we're actually live. They have to search diligently to find our live show. Now that's been going on pretty much since day one. A lot of other YouTubers have experienced this throughout their truth, quest on the, YouTube channel they put up, and some have been taken down, some have been censored, some have been copyright strikes against them, some have been it's been said they've had improper material, if you will, stuff they shouldn't be showing when it's just truth they're putting out there. Now, since this Vegas shooting, and a lot of people have been putting up videos and commentary that tends to imply that maybe the truth isn't being quite told to us. Maybe the story isn't quite what we're being spun. Maybe the full story hasn't been disclosed. In fact, maybe not only has the full story not been disclosed, maybe it's been spun a bit, maybe it's been embellished, maybe it's been lied. Maybe there's been quite a bit of fabrication. I know I was up the first night and saw some things that were quite hinky, quite unusual, quite just didn't add up. And that was the first night as it was unwrapping. As it was unfolding. In the time that a lot of discrepancies in the narrative that we've been told in the mainstream media and what some of the people who've dug deeper have found out, they're putting those things up on YouTube. They're putting the videos up saying, hey, this isn't right. We're hearing gunfire from other areas. There's a lady who's put up a video from the Bellagio Hotel that actually shows people crouched down in hallways that are being told to stay down. They're not allowed to go outside because she was actually in a bar area when shots came through the glass, shattered the glass. Her man jumped down on top of her and covered her up and protected her and tried to, keep her safe. She then started filming live and showed that this was going on at the Bellagio. Now, this was all happening at the same time as the shots were being fired. Shots were being fired at the Mandalay Bay as well. So right there, discrepancy in the story we were told. So the videos are up there. They're showing people doubting the story. They're doubting the official narrative. And because of that, as I told you guys in the last show we did, YouTube has now decided to update their algorithms so that people who are saying this is a hoax or people that are saying this is a false flag are going to be copyright striked. They're going to be have copyright strikes against them. They're going to have their channels taken down. They're going to have a lot of problems. The algorithm is going to change. So that's something dear to us. We hold YouTube pretty dear to our hearts. It's kind of where we started. It's kind of where we learned some of this truth that we have come to know. Oh, it looks like we might have got Josh back in. Josh, are you back in with us?
You know what? I'm here for the time being. Fingers crossed. We shall see exactly how long Skype wants to hold on to me. Seems like every time I'd connect, it'd go for about 2 minutes and then just boot me right off.
Man, you gotta love it. We just thought we were having trouble with our Google Hangouts. That's the horse we've been riding for some time now, and it tends to buck us off on Fridays pretty regularly.
Yeah, I still want to blame Google. Although I do have great big servers sitting upstairs that need to get hooked up. Maybe that'll have something to do with it. I have an old Ethernet cable. Maybe I need to swap out my Ethernet cables. I don't know. Something. But man, talk about freaking out.
No, there you go. Well, hey, if it wasn't live, it wouldn't be fun. So now, do we still have the call going with the studio? I see it's not. Oh, there it is. It wasn't on my screen. There, it popped up. So hope we don't lose that.
We should be good to go. We should be rocking and rolling, and everything should be going out loud and clear, ideally.
Glad to have you back, sir.
Well, thanks. I'm sorry you had to run with it for as long as you did. I don't know.
I like to gab sometimes. You know that.
Well, without me being here, I'm not exactly sure how much went out on the air, but hopefully all of it.
Well, if not, then here we go. Welcome to the Ironworx.
Welcome to the Ironworx. Trying to burn off some of these impurities.
Indeed. Forge it with some of the absurdities of this world. Oh, my goodness. Speaking of the absurdities of this world, have you kept up with some of the latest developments this week in the craziness in Vegas?
As best I can. Between trying to get stuff going on for TFR and doing our YouTube stuff and working my slave job and spending time with my girlfriend and with my son, my spare time is just more and more limited. But I've seen a few things popping up here and there. This idea about these death squads in Las Vegas going around from all these different hotels and making this sort of unified strike all at once is definitely fascinating. I don't know how Las Vegas is set up and how far away the Bellagio is from Mandalay Bay, but it seems like that's I know Vegas isn't necessarily a small town, so.
Well, actually, the layout for the Bellagio and the layout for the Mandalay, if you look at it yourself on Google Earth, I actually watched a video. I haven't gone on Google Earth personally, but I watched a video not too long before we went live where a guy did just that because of that video, the video where the lady shows everyone crouched down in the hallways at the Bellagio. And the angle of the front entrance of the Bellagio, plus it's like, cement awnings and the covering of how you would drive into the area to get into the entrance that was being shot out. There's a huge hotel that's way, way taller, almost equally tall, maybe as tall, if not taller, than the Mandalay between the Bellagio and the Mandalay. That would completely make the firing from that hotel, from the Mandalay Hotel, it's already tumbling and dropping bullets that would be heading into the arena area. So hitting those windows and causing the damage that this lady's reporting, no, I don't think so. The guy who put the video together definitely doesn't seem to think so. Like I said, her video doesn't show any of the glass damage. It doesn't show the actual shooting, but it does show a hotel hallway, entranceway, lobbyway filled with people crouched down, some upset, some crying. Lots of people try to go outside. There's a security guard tells them all to go back inside. She's among that crowd. Her husband's backing up, the things she's saying, that the bullets came through while they were sitting at the bar area, that he covered her. She was helping another lady who was upset and crying. She's a pretty tough lady, the lady who made the video. I have to say, I was very impressed. She seemed to keep her cool under this situation. So that's one thing that seems to be consistent across some of these videos that we're seeing. The people are definitely not freaking out and losing it and just dropping and running. Most people are just kind of trying to figure out what's going on. And then in the crowd, as it happens, so many people, these aren't real shots. It sounds fake. Is that going over the loudspeaker? It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, the one thing I did see was kind of a breakdown of the Jason Aldean and what happened right before everything started going off. And I wish I could remember what channel it was, but you can hear what sounds to be like a single shot, bang. And then Jason Aldean makes some sort of statement saying, we're going to turn up the heat, or we're going to do something. He's doing his stage presence, whatever it is that Jason Aldean does up on stage. And then after the first shot, and as soon as he starts talking, people start running. I mean, they are clearing out. And then within just a few seconds, you can hear the automatic fire open up. So it really does look like somebody fired a starting gun. Jason Aldean gave the cue, and all the actors started running to create the chaos. Then the shots came over the loudspeaker, and then everybody else started running. So it's like it took those first set of people to set the mood. They were the ones sort of, screaming fire in the theater.
Yes, sir. I watched the video in the early morning yesterday, and it seems to be probably the one you're talking about. A guy maybe wearing a head cam because he keeps talking to people on his phone, but he's still filming everywhere he looks. I'm assuming he had a head cam on. And he's there, he's watching the music, and like you said, there was an audible pop. I thought at first maybe sniper rifle fire, but never thought about the starter gun aspect of it. And definitely I heard the little turn up the heat or whatever it was phrase that he says on stage, and then the people immediately are running before you hear any automatic weapon fire start. So definite earmarks of people that were ready for an event, that were there as crisis actors. And this is something that has been definitely uncovered throughout this. There was an event set to go live that Monday. There's actually been what could be a script that's turned up that seems to lead towards this whole idea of multiple incidents in different hotels across the way. I actually watched somebody break down an audio. The lady who sat in the hotel drive area, she was a cab driver, and she was apparently she heard some first shots and immediately started filming. And then she's the one that sees some of the fire happening on that 4th to 10th area in the middle of the hotel as she's driving away from the situation, trying to get away, where cops are already in place as the fire has just started, already blocking off streets. And she's, strange stuff there. And so as he breaks down the audio, you hear the first second of the shots that she's recorded seem to be echoes from what apparently alerted her to start videoing in the first place. Then you hear immediate loud bursts over her head, and you can see on the audio readout on the video that there's a definite spike in the audio, and then immediately the same little smaller, similar spikes that would be the echo. And then a few moments after that, some very low sounding shots that are obviously not overhead, obviously not coming from anywhere near where she's at, because she just heard some loud shots, and it seems to be very distant and often somewhere out in Vegas. I won't say which direction. I won't say Bellagio. I wasn't there. I wasn't filming it, but it definitely seems to be that she recorded fire in other areas, not echoes, because you can see the echo happening. You can see the loud peaks and then you see the echo. You see the loud peaks and then you see the echo. But these are low as the echo and are not preceded by any loud peaks. It's really hard to get this across audio, video stuff without video presentations. We've been kind of, I guess, crippled by learning all this YouTube fun we've done with all the video presentations. So I guess I'll have to be more descriptive with my voice.
We are a little bit handicapped here without being able to share screens, huh?
Yes, sir. Go to that video, Josh. That seems to be our rally cry on Flat Earth Fridays.
But I will say that even the reports from the fire didn't sound right. I mean, there were definitely, you could hear the echoes bouncing off the buildings. But even if all the shots came from Mandalay Bay, it just sounded way too loud. I mean, it's 300 yards? I mean, that's nothing to shake a stick at. That's 1,000 feet, give or take. That's a fair piece. A lot of those shots sounded like they were coming a lot closer.
Yes, sir.
I did see a video of what looked to be a police officer or a security guard. Now, the video claimed that he was coming into the frame, kneeling down, taking aim, and opening fire into the crowd. You can see him run into the frame. You can see him kneel down, and the camera pans something. I don't know. Some people say it was a flashlight. Some people say maybe it was a gun, but he wasn't shooting it. But it was some pretty interesting footage nonetheless. So I think this idea of death squads, I think even here on TFR, Zen Garcia did a show not too long ago about these death squads reported in Las Vegas doing these multiple attacks, all synchronized. So yeah, it's definitely some smoke there, whether it's fire or not, but definitely some smoke.
Well, see, that kind of brings up that whole boogeyman of ISIS and that whole spin, if you will. To me, I grew up in a world where, there were certain things you just did not see and have access to. And then, boom, internet hit, and suddenly there's crazy stuff you can just click on and see at the drop of a mouse. So, fast forward to ISIS, and we have these beheading videos. Now, if you were doing everything you could to keep people from panicking and literally going out and arming themselves to the teeth, putting bars over their windows, becoming a hugely militant society, wouldn't you generally try to avoid them seeing things that would incite such behavior, such things as people being beheaded on YouTube on a pretty regular basis? Now, I know you guys probably out there may have seen some of the breakdowns of these videos where you can see obvious issues with green screen trickery not being done right. There's allegedly some videos that are behind the scenes, if you will, some takeaways, some blooper reels. I don't know what to call it. That seems to lend the idea that, some of the ISIS propaganda that we're being fed is strictly that propaganda to instill the fear, to keep the fear going, and, turn us all into a bunch of people cowering in our houses behind those windows. I don't think they want us to get those guns, though. I don't think they want us out there arming ourselves. I think that's part of this, too. I think the bigger part, though, is them trying to take the truth platform of YouTube away from us. I think that's really the underlying problem that we're really going to have a problem with here.
No, I think you're right. Just these random websites that can, I think Newsweek had one where you could just put up a newsweek.com or newsweek.co.com. So nobody really knows unless they investigate that it's not the real Newsweek website. And then you can just put out whatever kind of false stories you want, and people see the Newsweek header and the Newsweek footer and just assume that, it must be legit because it's coming from Newsweek, so they're just going to take the story and run with it. And I think there's a lot of people that fell for this, got duped by it that way. So I think that's just one of the things. They're trying to call into question all the information, and then they're going to just start taking away every last bastion of people's chance to even get the word out as to be able to differentiate, saying, here, look, We have this information and this information and this information. Let's take a look at it and see what's what. Like, so you can do with YouTube, where you have the ability to use videos and reach a large audience. They'll just strip that away, lock you out of your channel, and then just use these Google algorithms that's going to feed you the first 500 pages of Google search results. Is going to be only the things and the propaganda that they're trying to push, the agenda that they want out there. So, yeah, it's a really scary time. They have a lot of control.
And I think the problem is with these channels popping up, that control is loosening, that grip they had on everybody when there was, well, I mean, it almost really started maybe with some of the channels that started hitting with cable, because, I mean, as a kid, we had 3 channels. And if you knew how to tune that weird knob behind the big knob, you could get that UHF stuff going and pick up maybe another 4th channel that might show some weirder things. But there wasn't just a flood of any type of channel with news, sports, distractions left and right. So now we've thrown this whole idea of remove the spin doctors, remove the CIA sending in the scripts, which that's already been uncovered, remove the ex-operatives who are now currently portraying the talking heads on some of the MSM networks. And here we are with YouTube showing people what might really be going on in the world. And again, we always have the caveat saying, do the research. Don't believe a thing we say. Go do the research yourself. Go read a book. In fact, turn off the damn TV and go read a book, because finding out for yourself is the secret to all this stuff. If we believed everything we were told on the TV, we probably wouldn't be sitting here talking to you guys at 4 o'clock in the morning, or at least 4 for me.
Yeah. Definitely research everything we say, and realize that just because I say something today doesn't necessarily mean I'm going to think and believe that same thing tomorrow. All my views and my opinions are subject to change at any given moment. So take everything I say with a grain of salt. Take everything Walt says with a grain of salt, and just say, hey, let me look into what they're saying, and maybe I'll just make up my own mind. Maybe I don't have to believe everything they say, but they say enough good things that I want to listen. And I think that's a problem with a lot of the people today, is they're just so willing to hear one thing that they don't agree with, and they'll just throw the whole baby out with the bathwater. And that's no, go ahead.
No, as flat earthers, a lot of the time we get attacked with the idea that we are living in a world of confirmation bias, that we've attached ourselves to a certain way of looking at the world. Flat is what that is, and anything that disagrees with that, we're going to throw it out. Anything that might shake our belief in that system that we're clinging to with the death grip would just shake us to our foundation. So we will not look at that. We won't look at anything that might show us something that isn't agreeing with our preconceived notions. And we strive at Ironworx and at Iron Realm Media to dig on every side, on every aspect of this. Because believe me, I went and watched the videos of the people who allegedly are dead at Vegas, who are somebody's checking their pulse to see if they're alive or dead. Now, I've actually been in a situation where I had to do that. I'm not going to give any details, but let's just let you know that if it was a time where I was able to have a cell phone and a camera in my hand, which it was way before that, I wouldn't be videoing while I was checking to see if somebody was alive or dead. What kind of unfeeling creature would actually do such a thing? Again, I think more fear, more control, more putting terror in people's minds so that they can then go, wait, I need to do whatever Mr. Government says. Please, Daddy Government, do it. I need help. I can't think for myself.
Well, this is 2017. Cell phones are pervasive. I mean, people have probably more cell phones than they have televisions in their house at this point. And at least in America, we have a lot of televisions. So I think that's part of the culture, part of the society that's being bred into people. That's the conflict that goes on in so many of us, is the societal sort of apathy that they put out there coming up in conflict against that internal empathy, that God-given, creator-born empathy that we all have, and it creates this crazy conflict in everybody. So I think the more television and the more fluoride and the more GMOs you have, the more likely you are to give in to the apathy. And once you do that and you've got that ever-present hand extension cell phone in there, it just, if you've already got the camera on, why not? Why not? I'm surprised he would film with one hand and check his pulse with the other. Most people will just stand there and filming him die. I mean, you can go on YouTube and watch all this crazy stuff. And we got about a minute and a half left, minute and 40 seconds before we had to take a break. But yeah, go ahead. What were you going to say, Walt?
No, there's no telling. I'm sure I was going to rage on something. I got really a little upset. I tend to get emotional when it comes to things like this. I hate to see people in a traumatic situation. I've unfortunately been around that a bit in my life. Like I may have mentioned last week, my mother and my sister were both respiratory therapists. I spent way too much time in hospitals as a young child. And again, was in some situations in life that has let me experience things that were a bit traumatic and rough. So everybody reacts differently. Everybody has different levels of empathy, and I don't know, being human, it just hurts me to see these things and to think that a society has bred a person that would be that callous in their soul and their heart. I'm just, again, almost speechless at such a thought. But as you say, it's out there if you look for it. I just try to avoid it. I got enough crap to deal with.
So that's going to put us right up to the break. We're talking conspiracy theories or lone gunman shooters in Las Vegas. We'll see you back on the other side of the break. This is the Ironworx on Truth Frequency Radio. My name is Josh Corey. I'll see you on the other side.
Real people, real radio. Wherever you are, make it TFR. Truth Frequency Radio.
Welcome back, everybody. My name is Josh Corey. You are listening to the Ironworx on Truth Frequency Radio. I am joined by Mr. Walt Johnson. Walt, say hello to everybody.
Hi, hello. How are you, sir, madam? All those out there who are waking up and joining us here on Truth Frequency Radio. This is the Ironworx. We're glad to be a part of your morning. Hopefully we can get it started the right way. My goodness, it is a crazy world out there, so hopefully we'll give you a reason to smile, maybe something to think about throughout the rest of your day.
I did just want to give a shout-out to everybody in chat, and by everybody, it does look like I see Mr. Adam Meekin in the chat room up there. If you'd like to join Adam in the chat, just shoot on over to tfrlive.com/chat, and you can join into the live chat right there. Say what's up to everybody in the chat room. Say what's up to us. Pose any questions to us. I'll keep an eye on it and see what we got going on up there. One other thing, I wanted to give a shout out to Billy Ray Valentine on the Infinite Fringe. We'll be co-hosting this Sunday from 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. Well, wait a minute, Josh. 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. on Sunday. Isn't that William Whitecrow spot? Well, no, not anymore. It was. You can now find William Whitecrow on Saturdays from 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. But yeah, we should have a really good time coming up on this Sunday. Shoot, look at me. I just said Sunday, and then I got right back into Saturday. This Sunday from 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. with Billy Ray Valentine and Ben Hameen and myself. As we're I'm not even sure what in the world we're doing this week, but if I know Billy Ray, it's going to be fun. And one more shout out to Lucky. She got into a bit of a bind earlier in the week, and Chris Gio had to put up a GoFundMe and raise a little bit of funds to help get her out of her bind. And I know she is now in a safe spot and was broadcasting back tonight. So I just wanted to say, hey, Lucky, I'm glad you're safe. Glad everything's getting back to at least relative normality. And, it really does say a whole lot. Lucky gets in trouble, and in 24 hours, I'm pretty sure Truth Frequency Radio hosts and listeners raised more money than B.O.B. did on his first 24 hours for his satellite launch.
Nice. Well, that makes me feel great to be part of this family. So that is amazing. Lucky, I haven't met you yet, but I'm so glad that this all worked out in a positive way. And my goodness, what a family to be part of. This is a great team. I'm glad to be part of this, guys. Thanks.
It really does speak to the caliber of talent that Chris has gathered here on Truth Frequency Radio, and it speaks to the caliber of a man Chris is, and the woman Cherie is, and the powerhouse team that they are putting out this content each and every day. So I just wanted to give a big shout out and a big thank you to Chris and Cherie and all the other hosts for making us feel welcome and allowing us to be a part of this lineup. We are very humbled and very appreciative. So thank you.
Amazing listeners, man. The amazing listeners. We wouldn't even be here if you guys weren't putting up with us. So we appreciate it. And if you guys have comments, questions, you know how to get in touch with us here. There's the chat. Josh, I don't have the number in front of me. Throw that number at him real quick, man.
You betcha. Let me see if I can't locate that number. I know it's got to be somewhere. Sorry, I got lots of windows open.
That's okay. I do too. I was digging for it, and I think I closed too many. Well, we're here at Truth Frequency Radio on Tuesdays and Fridays at 2 a.m. Pacific, 4 a.m. Central, 5 a.m. Eastern. Over there across the lake, a pond there, Adam, you guys are, I guess, about 10:30. I'm sorry. Well, that's our time on Fridays. Man, this whole time zone thing is so confusing. We'll get it right one day. One day we'll have this all figured out. Some other stuff that has happened here lately in the news. Go ahead, Josh. I didn't mean to step on you there, brother.
No. I was just going to say I will give the call-ins, but I seem to not have any Skype credit. So I need to get a little bit of Skype credit so I can get up on the call board and we'll be able to start taking calls. So, I am so embarrassed.
See, we're still learning. No, we're still learning this thing. My goodness. See, so much to learn. We're noobs. We'll get it figured out one day.
Still, show 2, I should be able to have this stuff up there. But that's all right.
We'll get it.
No, yeah, what else? You said you had some other stuff going on in the news?
Well, just looking around, some other things that kind of has touched me a little more personally. As I said, we're not in Vegas, and again, our heart goes out to anyone who's lost a family member, a friend. We don't doubt that people died. In fact, it's adding up that there may have been, quite a bit going on there. We're not making light of this in any way. We're not, it really hurts us to know that there are people that were injured because of some kind of event, be it what we're told, be it a complete fabrication. We don't want anyone to ever get hurt. We're touched by it only through YouTube. We're not touched by it in a personal way. We're not big gun people, so that aspect doesn't touch us personally. We have a lot to say on that matter, but again, it touches us only through a YouTube aspect and the censorship. I myself, throughout my life, have suffered, various injuries, car wrecks, etc. I deal with a lot of pain. I have tried many things throughout my life to do something about pain that wouldn't require me to rely on synthetic chemicals that were created in a laboratory. The pharmaceutical industry is an industry. It is not out to heal people. In fact, it usually does just the opposite. It creates more issues, more symptoms, more reactions, which then cause a need for more medication. I always try to go natural. And I found something recently called Kratom. It is an herb. It is dried leaves. It is grown in different parts of the Asian area, the countries, Southeast Asia, things like that. Turns out it is pretty much a lifesaver. It keeps me free of pain. Different strains do different things. Some are great for energy. Some are kind of just pain relief, not too much energy. And then some are actually great for nighttime and help you sleep. I have been trying different strains, different kinds, trying to figure out the best pain relief, trying to find that best maintenance level. Because that's really the thing, is something that can keep pain at bay but not hinder cognitive issues or cause any kind of like jitteriness. Like some levels of the energy ones will definitely cause some like caffeine jitters, if you will. Well, just last week, a police officer, Sergeant Matthew Dana, died, and his death has officially been ruled by the coroner as an overdose of Kratom. Now, there have been a few reported deaths throughout the years from Kratom, but they were usually associated with another drug. There was something that caused a reaction, some type of cross problem, and that usually was tied into the deaths. But this is the first time that it's actually being ruled that Kratom itself is the cause, the actual active chemical in Kratom, mitragynine. I probably said that wrong. But, yeah, the coroner, Dr. Stewart, said, I think we always assumed that Kratom played a role, and this time that was the only substance found at the scene. So now there's a big push to make it illegal. There was a big push, I guess it was last year, when they were trying to schedule it, and people literally were marching at the White House. People wrote letters, people signed petitions, and made a big push to keep this from happening. It doesn't only help pain. There are people who have gotten off of synthetic opioids and pain medicines. There are people who were actually addicted to them. Like, these are horribly addictive pain relievers that are out there for people. And they not only cause addiction, they destroy your liver, they can destroy your life. And people have gotten relief from the addictions they have for these pain relievers. Long story short, I definitely am sorry to hear that Mr. Dana died, but Sergeant Dana died. But people die. And there might be more to his life that we don't know about. He could have had a congenital heart defect. He could have had anything that could have led to his heart. He was actually a weightlifter. Who knows? I understand a coroner said this is what happened. But as we know, if something out there would tend to lead people away from the pharmaceutical industry's set up, their pyramid scheme they have going, their whole idea of keeping you addicted to their drugs and keeping you sick so that you keep relying on their drugs, and this natural thing could actually be possibly even grown in your backyard. I don't know. I haven't done that research yet. But it looks like they're trying to really push this out. And if there's any chance they could use this guy's death as a way to push this thing onto a schedule so that we can't have access to it, then certainly I don't doubt they would. It's horrible to think they would, but it seems to be a world that I'm living in, unfortunately. And if you use this, if you have tried it, if you haven't tried it, if you're in pain, do some research on it. Don't just go out and start grabbing it and taking it by the handfuls. I read up on it for about 4 months before I tried it. That's the kind of level of research I try to do on things, and especially when it comes to my health. So get out there, find out what's going on with it. There's petitions going around. Get out there. You definitely want to find out what's going on with this and back it. Try to keep this out there for people. It's something that's amazing. It's helped my life personally. I'm not going to say any names, brands, anything like that. I just want you to get out there. There's actually a Kratom Association that you can find out more information about petitions. People marched the last time this came up. That's how important this is in people's life. That's how strongly they feel about what this can do for them. It's almost at the level of the people who are advocates for the legalization of cannabis. That's the kind of dedication people who have found relief with this substance have put forth for it. Kratom is really a miracle for me. So do what you can to keep it on the shelves for people. Right now, it's legal in pretty much every state.
This is one of those synchronicity moments because it's been the past couple of days I've been looking into it. My girlfriend, her name is Dixie. She suffers from migraine headaches. And I've been trying to find something natural that's going to get her off of her meds that she's on for her migraines, because they're horrible, horrible pills that she's taking just to try to combat these everyday migraines, just to function. And even now it's just trying to take it from a migraine down to a manageable headache. So I've been trying to find something, and I found the Kratom, so I've been really kind of starting to research it and look into it. So it's really interesting to hear you say that. I've heard some amazing stories, watched some amazing testimonials on YouTube about it. I have lots of friends on Facebook that swear by it. I just saw probably last week, scrolling through my Facebook news feed, I saw somebody offering, what is it, like a kilo of Kratom for $100.
Mm-hmm.
So it was just people just jumping all over it. So it's out there. It's changing people's lives. So it's something I'm definitely interested in looking more into. So yeah, we'll have to talk to Adam about that. I'm sure Adam might have some more to say about it.
Exactly. I'm not great at multitasking, and I was trying my best to click as I was talking in my little emotional rage there. Not rage. I'm just very attached to this, the help I've gotten from this thing, and I hate to see it taken away. If you go and just type in petition to keep Kratom legal, you will see that there is actually one up right now. It's put up by Chris Lane, and basically it's Donald Trump. Keep Kratom legal in the United States. Right now there's only 177 supporters as of right now. It doesn't look like it's been up too long. And again, it is helping so many people in so many ways. Irritable bowel syndrome. It helps with hypertension. It helps with anxiety. It helps with definitely with mood enhancement, energy, focus. I mean, man, it's do the research. Don't just go out and take it by the handfuls. For sure, there are people who, unfortunately, too much of a good thing. They don't understand the concept, so they tend to abuse stuff out there. Make it hard for those of us who just want to use something in a logical manner. It makes it hard for us. So, unfortunately, I do know there are people who abuse it to try to get a thrill, a buzz, a high from it. And that is actually something that's hard to do. If you get to a level that it would make you overdose or make you really, really have a crazy buzz from it, it would make you nauseated. It would make you throw it up. I've never taken it to that level to get nauseated, actually, so I can't speak to that personally. But like I said, the pain relief, mood enhancement, focus, it is pretty amazing. So if you guys want to get in touch with me, Josh, you know how to do that. And out there, it's flat earth head prods at gmail.com is how you get with me.
Or if you want, you could just send an email over there to ironrealmmedia@gmail.com. If you want me to put you in touch with some people on Facebook that I know that are selling Kratom themselves, I can do that. I don't want to necessarily endorse anything here and now. And I do want to say, this may come as a shock to a lot of you, I know, but I am not a doctor. So don't take anything I say as medical advice.
Myself neither.
So always, again, do your own research. Seek the advice of a physician before you start taking anything. Yeah, that's about all I've got to say about that, because I still need to look into it more. Adam says he's looking into it right now, and he will have a summary for us for Friday.
Amazing.
So by Friday, either Friday morning back here on the Ironworx or on Flat Earth Friday, a Fringecast on YouTube at 10 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time on YouTube. Hopefully then he will have a summary at the very latest. So I wanted to touch back on some of the Las Vegas stuff that's been going on. We were talking about multiple shooters, and then we were starting to touch on some of the censorship that's been going on through YouTube and Google algorithms and things like that. Crow 777 got locked out of his channel. And we weren't untouched And this is where it gets a little bit scary, because while they say this is about, most of these people affected, it's about this Las Vegas shooting because that's what's most prevalent. But they're really expanding these algorithms to include a lot more than just false flags or anything like that. James, the Full Armor OG from the Iron Realm Media, had a video. His channel wasn't very big. He really enjoyed making videos. He put together a video, and for whatever reason, the stars aligned, and the darn thing just went viral. BBC tried to make a copyright claim, and James fought it, and James won. And James was like 2 million views on this Flat Earth video that voted the best Flat Earth documentary. 2017, is that what the one was?
Yes, sir.
And then for whatever reason, BBC filed another claim, and this time James lost. And then BBC got control of this video with over 2 million views, which for a Flat Earth video, that's pretty darn good. So James didn't think anything of it. He just sat there. BBC was taking basically any kind of royalties from it, and there it was. But then all of a sudden, James went in, logged into YouTube one day, and the video was gone. This was, I guess, last Thursday or last Friday morning when James logged in, and it had disappeared. His voted best video that had 2.4 million views was completely wiped off his channel. And he was not a happy camper. Let me say that.
And his video had nothing to do with Vegas. It wasn't tagged with Vegas in any way to get extra clicks. Some people will tag on whatever's hot and current on their video to get the clicks with the hashtag, with the tags for it, or with the description. And none of that. This has been up for, my goodness, 4 or 5 months almost.
Yeah, at least. And if you're a flat earther, you probably would recognize it. It's the one that starts off with "It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia," attacking science versus religion. So yeah, it was a great video.
Amazing video.
And now it's gone.
And it's gone.
And it all happened on the day that YouTube changed its algorithm to combat all these false narratives and these conspiracy theories about Las Vegas. So it just goes to show how deep that level of control goes. And when they say it's going to do one thing, you can be sure that they are implementing much more than what they're telling people. I don't know. Crow was looking at this as a free speech issue, and I don't see. Yeah. Well, YouTube isn't telling you can't say these things. They're not trying to keep you from speaking. That's not what they're doing. They're just saying, look, you just can't say it here. And people do that with their comments on their videos on YouTube. They don't just come and let people say whatever they want. They'll limit it by curse words. And so, well, you can't curse. This is my channel. This is my video, and you can't curse on here. Right? You want to curse? Go make your own video. I'm not going to limit your free speech. You just can't do it here. And that's what YouTube is saying. Look, I'm not telling you can't say that nobody died in Las Vegas, but you can't do it here. So I don't see it as a free speech.
I have to commend you for that, Josh. I have to, right here on air, live, say, yes, sir, you've made me look at this differently now, because you're correct. You do not have to put your your videos on YouTube. There are other avenues you could post those videos. You can make your own channel, put your videos up. So you are correct. And there you go, people. Earlier I said we don't just take one side of the coin or one side of the issue and look for that bias, confirmation, viewpoint. Here's Josh blowing my mind with a different take on it. So I commend you, sir.
Well, thanks. Growing up, my dad used to just tell me I was contrary. But really,
I know you, sir. That's why I'm laughing.
Like in speech and drama class when I was in high school, it was always, you were taught when you're going to debate somebody, you learn both sides, because you're never going to know which side of the issue you debate until right before the debate. That way it's all about your skills. It's not about what you're passionate about it necessarily, because you could be arguing You could be debating for something that you don't believe in. So when people want to challenge it to a debate about flat Earth, I'm always willing to do it, provided they debate for the flat Earth, and I'll debate for the spherical Earth.
Nice.
Let's have a debate. But that doesn't happen very often because they don't usually research that well. And since I was raised on the information on spherical Earth, then had to relearn again all the stuff that I missed, all the stuff that I had forgotten, and all the stuff that I wasn't taught. Well, now I can make a pretty good argument for both sides.
There
and
it is.
The truth is, there's no curve, there's no motion. It's flat.
It is flat. And we haven't mentioned that a lot. We definitely will do a full Flat Earth show in the very, very near future. But there's just a lot going on with this Vegas thing that's kind of had my mind focused on it over the last couple of weeks, or going on a week now, I guess. Actually, yeah, a week yesterday. The timing, most times with these events, I usually come in after the fact. I wake up the next day and everybody's telling me what happened, and I'm playing catch up, watching somebody else's video on it or doing my own research. And I was just up, as I am this time of the morning, a lot of the mornings as it began to unfold. So, yeah, just incredible. The stuff that we could. We could talk flat Earth the next hour, sir. Why not? Let's throw some flat Earth at these lovely ladies and gentlemen and see what falls off the edge.
Certainly can. We'll do a little highlights of some of the stuff that we're going to be touching on when we get John Savage on here, and when Adam Meakin comes on. We'll kind of highlight some of the stuff they've done, some of the guests that we've had on. We do most of our flat earthing on our YouTube channel. We have a specific flat Earth show that we do there, which is kind of how we ended up here. So we don't want to put too much flat Earth. You got Mark Sargent, you got Zen Garcia, you got Jaronism with Jaron and Missa. You got all these people that are authors on Truth Frequency Radio.
Yes, sir.
So yeah, there's not a whole lot that we're gonna be able to add to that, but the stuff that we do add, I think, is gonna be mind blowing. So, yeah, I think that's a great idea. Well, we'll talk a little bit of flat Earth when we come back on the other side of that break, which is coming up in about 2 minutes.
Oh,
Adam says,
there we go.
Flat. Yeah, see? That first hour just flew by. No, Adam. Adam asks, is there any curvature? No, Adam.
No, sir. No curvature to be seen. Either direction. Longitudinally or latitudinally.
No, sir.
No, sir. No, sir.
No motion. No orbital motion. No spinning. No rotations. Nothing like that. No 1,000-mile-an-hour speeds. No crazy things like that. If it looks flat and feels motionless, it probably is. Adam would like to know how he can work out the curvature. Well, I would say go back to our Iron Media channel on YouTube and search out our shows. Do I have a formula? I don't have a formula on me, and I wish I could just rattle it off the top of my head.
I should be able to do that for you, sir. Adam is putting us on the spot live. Thank you, sir. Wait till you get on here, right. Mr. Meakin. You mad scientist, you, sir.
Just because he tried to teach us this formula that we should be able to regurgitate it. What is this? Mandatory schooling?
Right. You know how long it took me to remember 8 inches per mile squared, which is not correct? That is not the correct formula.
Well, that's a close approximation, and it does work out pretty well.
It works for most government work.
Right, like horseshoes and hand grenades. So sweet. On the other side of this break, we're going to talk a little bit of flat Earth, and I think
Frequency Radio is your number one.
You are now tuned into the Truth Frequency.
We are TFR. TFR.
Truth Frequency Radio.
Welcome back, everybody. My name is Josh Corey. You're listening to the Ironworx on Truth Frequency Radio. Thanks for tuning in. We've been talking all kinds of stuff so far today. Got into a little Las Vegas. Crazy death squads roaming the city from hotel to hotel, killing victims. The YouTube and internet censorship that's followed in its wake, and the wide swath of videos that it's taken out, well beyond just the Las Vegas narrative. Then just at the bottom of last hour, we got to talking a little bit of flat Earth. And we got to talk. Adam Meekin is in the chat, and he put the formula that he's come up with in the chat for a very definitive drop in curvature, whereas the 8 inches per mile squared is an approximation of curvature that works. You know, it gets pretty darn close, but it's not exact. And Adam is just a teeny bit obsessive. And
meticulous? Is that possibly a word? I think obsessive. That might be better. Yes, obsessive. Love you, brother.
An approximation wasn't going to cut it. So Adam decided that he needed to get something very exact. So he worked and he worked and he worked and he worked until he finally came up with it. So in the chat, what we have is, you know what? I'm not even going to try to read this. We have 6379 minus 6379 times the cosine times, what is this, with A times 0.00899321661. This is the life of a flat earther, ladies and gentlemen. It's not as glamorous as some people would like to make you believe that it is. It involves,
somebody has to trudge through the trenches.
Some dry information to delve into. This is why we leave it to our resident scientist, Adam Meekin, who is now joining us in chat, giving us this formula that I just botched so horribly. But this isn't the only thing Adam has done. Although this is good, getting a calculator. He even wrote it down and got it into a spreadsheet, so you can just put in the distance to the object you were looking at. If you know that distance, you can put it into this calculator, and it will give you the exact measurable drop if we were living on a ball.
Now, some people may wonder why go to all this effort. And when I say effort, they may not understand how long this formula has been under construction. And that is by no means any kind of a detrimental thought towards Adam's abilities. That is, again, a testament to his meticulousness, his obsessiveness, and attention to detail. This has been something that has been under construction for a while, and there's reasons for this, definitely. And we're going to just tease it there, let Adam fill that in when he gets on, hopefully coming up soon. Friday, is that what we're looking at with Adam? I am so lost on our schedule. I apologize, sir.
Hopefully. Well, the schedule for this show is still a little bit up in the air. We're still trying to book guests, work out a show clock so we can get specific bits and show segments down, so we'll have a little bit of consistency from show to show to show. So as we get a few shows under our belt and get comfortable with the system and make sure we're getting intro and outro songs played through the monitor headphones, I think once we get all those little kinks and everything ironed out, it'll be a lot better. But yeah, hopefully Adam is going to be on soon to discuss this formula. And he also did an amazing experiment on moonlight temperature that he is now, or did at least once upon a time, had plans on writing up as a scientific paper, just to say that, look, what we're being told about moonlight obviously isn't correct, because these results should not be. So that's an exciting thing. What else has Iron Realm Media done? Well, we've done some real good stuff with John Savage. We had James's video mean, that 2.4 million hits, that's amazing.
Indeed. Our buddy John Savage is our resident gyroscope expert, and he has done quite a bit of work with gyroscopes. He began with a setup with a wired gyroscope that he would let run for 24 hours that should, over that 24-hour period, show a movement in the Earth. Rigidity in space should make that happen. There were a lot of comments that it wasn't going to work because the wire was keeping it anchored, so John created a system with a self-contained battery unit. It was all nicely done, and then did the experiment again. And guess what? Oh, my goodness. You ready? Hold on. No spin again. So John has done some amazing work. It's been highlighted on Globebusters. Shout out to Jaron and Bob. We'll have John on as well. Let him explain some of that. Plus, he has an amazing blog that he has done, The Savage Plane, at WordPress.com. He, quite the wordsmith. Shout out, John Savage. Yourself, you have quite a bit of a back history with your time at 97.1. Was that the correct call sign, sir? I apologize.
That was great memory.
Wow, look at me go. Yeah, you did some great work there, sir. You can find Josh's time at Paranormal Tuesday.
Yep.
There we go. My goodness, I'm doing great this early in the morning. He's got some good stuff on our channel, so shoot over there and check it out when you get a minute.
Yeah, that's probably about the extent of my contribution. I was probably one of the first getting on a mainstream media news outlet.
Fox affiliate, yes, sir. Hey, I'll give you props, sir. I'll shout it out for you.
It was the #1 drive time show in maybe a mid to large sized market for the radio in St. Louis. But the drive time's pretty good crowd, and to be #1 there, that's saying something.
Indeed.
So I got on there and did a show on there for like 9 months, once a week. That was fun. That was exciting, and it was just a great opportunity for them to catch a glimpse of kind of what it's like inside the mind of a flat earther. Because really, once you are off the ball for long enough, your whole thought process changes. So it's almost hard to have a conversation with a room full of ballers explaining to them what's going on in your brain, because you have to preface everything by saying, look, when I say something, it's not going to mean what you think it means, because it means something else, and I'm giving it a literal definition. And it makes conversations pretty long and drawn out and tedious sometimes. So
I do not think that word means what you think it means.
Inconceivable.
Indeed. Well, that is definitely an issue for most. You don't have to be a flat earther for that matter. You just have to kind of be awake enough to be able to look around the world and see that most of what we're being fed is a lie, spun with a bunch of agenda behind it, for sure. And, I walk into, recently I've had a lot of family that has had to spend, unfortunately, a large amount of time in the hospital over these last couple of months. And every room you go in, there's a TV just blaring the MSM party line, which I just literally almost turns my stomach when I start hearing the just bonk that comes pouring out of their faces. And they're just lapping it up. And then all irate and upset and wanting to discuss it with me. And what do you think about, Trump this and that? And I'm just, I just have to kind of shake my head, bite my tongue, and most times walk away, because these are people I love. And it's not their fault that they're so entrenched in this mad, psychopathic dribble that comes pouring out of that screen that's just got their mind twisted and confused and so twisted with fear. And is there going to be a rocket this week that's going to, come flying from North Korea? Is there going to be a huge mass shooting, a huge city that we all know and love? Is there going to be some type of agenda put forth that might have us all just shut down and have no more free speech whatsoever? I mean, these are things you wouldn't even think of. Well, how could this possibly happen? And yet here we are, waking up to it every day. And if you're waking up out there to this madness, give us a shout out, hop in chat, let us know what you think. We are definitely ready to hear from you. I hope we're not the only ones looking around and seeing that things are just not quite adding up, even if you do use a scientific calculator.
That was good, Walt.
Thank you,
that's
sir.
good.
Thank you, sir. It's early. The coffee's still like wiring through my system.
Look, 3 minutes for a break. I don't have the confidence that I can make it upstairs, get a cup of coffee, and make it back down in time without falling down the stairs and breaking my neck or something.
We don't need that. While it would make for exciting radio, we definitely don't want to hear that happening, sir.
So I have yet to actually get some coffee. I'm going to try to do it right before the
Well, as we were giving the roll call there, we just as soon finish up. We had Rob Freddie on last week. He kind of shared some of what he's done with Iron Realm Media. Hopefully we'll get Rob on again coming up next Friday. Let him give us a little unique take with his lovable koala self. He's done some great work with his it's B700? B700, yes, sir. Showing boats that are obviously popping in and out of a discernible air glow layer, refracting. Well, there you go. Showing a mirror image, showing just things that we keep trying to explain over and over again. This is why the sun sets. This is why sun can't be seen 24 hours a day on Earth. This is why you can't see Tokyo from your front porch. The ridiculous questions we get. I'll say, can you read the street sign at the end of your street from your front porch? But you're wanting to see Tokyo. Anyway, so Rob has shown some amazing, amazing stuff with his B700, which you can find on our channel as well. Shout out to Rob this early in the morning. I think that's it. I think we've done roll call. And we will have all these gentlemen on soon. We also have an extended family, if you will, out there in the world, and we hope to get some of those people on here as soon as we can get them up early enough, get some Flat Earth coffee in them.
Yeah, what do you think about our little Flat Earth channel? We don't have a real big audience. We've been doing it for a long time, but for some reason, it's those darned YouTube algorithms. They hide us on the weekends because they know everybody's off of working at home, sitting around watching YouTube, and they say, well, we got to hide all these truther channels. So we go live on Friday, and they've already kicked those algorithms in. So nobody's getting notifications that we went live. Our live isn't coming up in the feeds. It's not being shown anywhere. So our fans struggle to get there. We make sure we go live every week at 4, and that's the reason we did it that way, just so they'd know no matter what, we'll be there every Friday at 4, and we've done it every Friday for 9 months thus far, and we're still going strong. So that's really exciting. We've put in a lot of work trying to get this up. We've spent a lot of time together, and this is why we've built such a strong kinship and bond and brotherhood amongst each other, and why we've been able to last as long as we have, because we've become family. And we've learned to accept each other with our faults, good, bad, indifferent, whatever it is. We've learned to take it because we love each other. As hippy dippy as that sounds, that's just what it is.
If that's hippy dippy, then hippie I am, sir. Love you, brother. Love all you guys, and we love you, listeners. I know you're probably tired of hearing us sappy go on and on here, so. What else is happening in the crazy world out there? I know earlier I saw a bit of interesting information. We always try to keep an eye on NASA. I know that's one of everybody's favorite organizations out there. The big plan, we're heading to Mars next. I mean, we've got that moon locked down. We went back in the 60s and 70s. Why go back? Let's just skip that, go to Mars. So the big plan now is they're going to alter the DNA of astronauts to get them there safely. One of the issues people talk about is how could they ever have gotten through the Van Allen belts to have gotten to the moon? And how will they ever get through the Van Allen belts again to get to Mars. In fact, there's a quite famous video of one of NASA's young, I forgot the name, too many names, saying that, before we can get equipment and people through that, we have to figure out how to get them safely through there, even though we did it numerous times in the 60s and 70s. Well, now the plan is to actually alter the DNA of the Mars astronauts in the 2030s to protect them from the cancerous space radiation. So,
Are you ready, eager young space cadets?
Oh, yeah, that sounds like fun. How do they plan on just altering their DNA? They're going to put them in front of a bunch of gamma rays. I think I've seen this. They're going to turn them big and green and just make sure they don't get angry.
Right. You wouldn't like them when they're angry.
I don't like them now.
They're going to give them DNA drugs, man. I mean, if you're up there floating around and all that danger, micro asteroids that could just pierce you like a bullet at any second, meteors could come through and just destroy your little tiny bubble of air you're flying around in, your little tin can. I mean, why worry about what some DNA drugs might be doing to your cell structure?
Right. So what they're saying is what we're going to do is we're going to take your body and alter it in such a way that we can blast it with radiation, and it's not going to kill any of the healthy tissue as it passes through your body. Well, it sounds to me like they've just cured cancer, haven't they? If they can just alter someone's DNA that has cancer, can't they just irradiate the hell out of them and not worry about it because their DNA's been altered for it? Huh.
That's an idea I haven't thought about, sir. Oh, this may help to prevent cancers, dementia, and other radiation-related illnesses from developing, as well as boosting the body's resilience to its effects. Speaking to the Times, this was Dr. Terrier. Yes, Dr. Douglas Terrier, who is NASA's acting chief technologist. So there you go. You were already ahead of the curve.
See,
to put it in such words.
This is why I have to tell everybody that I'm not a doctor.
you just play one on the radio.
That's right. Oh, that's good stuff.
In other news,
a campus security guard was shot on campus by a 19-year-old college student. College was put on lockdown. College student was arrested, I believe. White guy, so of course there was no major altercations. They just took him into custody. Told him to knock his stuff off. I'm not sure on the condition of the security guard, campus cop. I'm not sure how that works. If it's a private security firm or if a college gets their own jurisdiction in so much that they can hire their own police force by overcharging the kids on college tuition so much to the point that they can afford their own police force. I don't know. But that was a story that was breaking earlier that I thought was kind of crazy. It started off a little scary, could have turned into another Las Vegas.
Right.
Nope.
Lucky.
Just a rent-a-cop. Not that that's good. I don't want to see violence against anyone, as long as they're not causing violence against someone.
Well, there is good news. I know you've been looking for it. I've been looking for it. I'm sure everyone listening has been looking for it. So sit down, take a break. The search is over. Scientists just found half of the missing matter in our universe. Now, unfortunately, it was only half. So, I mean, you do need to, like, after you take your little break, get up and get out there and start looking because there's still half of it missing. But as of now, 2 teams of researchers have found the elusive dark matter and dark energy. Well, half of the missing dark matter and dark energy. It's got like protons, neurons, electrons, all kind of goodies in there. This missing matter might even account for much of our own little area we live in, the Milky Way here. But the 2 teams of researchers were from the Institute of Space Astrophysics in Orsay, France, and from the University of Edinburgh. And basically, they've done it. So search is over. half of that missing matter can now be accounted for. So I guess we can just dispense with half of the ether that we all are thinking might be out there with our little flat earth cosmology that we're creating. So darn, that leaves us only half the universe to deal with now.
Walt, Adam and Chet would like to know, how do they know it's half? Or is it just half of what they need to make the equations work?
No, that would imply that they're just making this up as they go along, Adam. How dare you, sir? I thought you were a scientist. Oh, my goodness. Yes, Adam is truly a scientist, not a scientism priest. Excuse me. Get a little sip here. I apologize. Good morning.
Adam is our resident pharmacist over in the UK. He's out there. Not quite the allopathic pharmacists as we know them to be here in the U.S. Adam does have a bit better of a moral compass than most of the pharmacists I know around here, and allopaths. Not that I would know. I haven't been to an allopathic doctor in many a year. But you can always be sure that when you have a conversation with Adam, you're A, going to get right to the point, and then B, get down to the heart of the matter. He does not mess around, and he does not suffer fools. He will, he doesn't like unanswered questions. He does not like blank spots. So, that's the best thing about Adam, is that you always know that you're going to get the best information. He does a lot of, what did he call it? We go to court and testify in a case. I can't believe I'm drawing a blank on this. This is why I know I need my coffee.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It is that time of the morning.
It is that time of the morning. But we do love Adam, and we're so glad that he, if only he is in chat right now. So Adam's honest advice is don't vaccinate.
And that's a great advice. And that's another issue that definitely stirs up people's emotions, not just their logic and their, like, you know, let's look at this in a cool, rational way of let's show me some evidence that it's ever worked once in a real way. But actually, you know, people get emotional. People get really, really up in arms about this. And I think that would be a great topic to have Adam discuss when he's here, because he would be able to fill in some of the medical background and some of that a little deeper than I can. I come at it, again, from that emotional side. I've met the people, I've talked to them that, you know, had a perfectly healthy child, and they got inoculated and immediately started having issues, health issues right afterward. So that's definitely some information out there on it. You could definitely find. There's a great movie out there called Vaxxed. If you haven't seen it, I definitely highly recommend it. It could fill in some of the blanks for you on this topic. The way I look at it, when it comes down to the basic gut level, for me, you know, if I filled a glass with that same list of ingredients and fed it to my child, they would arrest me for abuse, possibly manslaughter. But a doctor can fill a syringe with it, and they can drink it. I mean, they can inject it away. Now I know the proportions and the amounts are totally different. But again, I tend to be very emotional about these things. So, well, we're coming up on Christopher Columbus's big day. It's Columbus Day coming up. A lot of people think that Christopher Columbus set sail to prove that the Earth was not flat, that it was indeed a globe. And that is, of course, misinformation and disinformation, and not true. And not only was he not trying to prove the Earth round, he wasn't really even trying to find America. He was actually trying to find a shortcut over to India. But it wasn't that he had figured it out, that he thought he knew it, the path, I mean, the direction, the way to go. He actually was very bad at math and had figured the Earth was quite smaller than what was in that day considered the size of the Earth, considerably smaller. And get this, he and Neil deGrasse and the Snake Tyson would be buddies, because guess what?
What?
Old Christopher was a pear-earther too. He thought the Earth was pear-shaped. Not only was it smaller, but it was pear-shaped. And that's the story he went before Isabella and told, that convinced them to give him the money to take off to India because the Earth was small and pear-shaped and he would get there much quicker. Of course, we know he didn't. Not only did he not get to India, he didn't even get to America, North America. He got to Haiti and all the islands down that way. Met a lot of nice people and made a lot of nice friends. I'm not being sarcastic at all. But yeah, so I'm going to celebrate Columbus Day by doing absolutely nothing.
Sweet. Me too. That sounds like the best way to do it. And if I hear that correctly, that's some actual break music this time. I love it. Sweet. So on the backside of the break, for the third half of our show.
You are now tuned into the truth frequency.
Your protection from deception. TFR.
Truth Frequency Radio.
All right. So when I made this music down a little bit. So I know that there should be a little cushion there. So it's not like I'm so inept that I can't just possibly talk all the way through the outro music into the break. But I was just trying to talk it up nice and tight. But for some reason, I was watching the clock, and there was 5 seconds left on the clock when the commercial hit. So that's just my little mea culpa. This is why I botched that last outro going into the break last time. And just for Adam in the chat, who, because he gets a little obsessive, he just wanted to say that he knows that we can't have a third half to the show. And I just wanted to point out that while I am dense, I am not quite that dense. The little backstory there is I grew up on National Public Radio, and there used to be a show where people would call in with their car problems, and these two guys from the Northeast, from up in Boston, and they'd call in, they would take these questions and basically give answers. They would kind of troubleshoot these people's cars and give them possible solutions on how to fix them. And that was one of their things, is they would always have, going back on their way out of their last break, they would always say coming back into our third half of the show, because, you know, they were just kind of playing the, one was the dummy, one was a straight man, so one was always kind of being a little bit silly. So that was his going into the third half of the show. So for those of you that might click and clack, the Tappet brothers.
Nice.
Tom and Ray.
Blast from the past.
Mm-hmm. So I was going to say, Walt, this is our last little segment for this show before we head on out of here. What did you want to get into? Anything specific?
Well, actually, I am right next door to Texas. I am in Louisiana, so I have a lot of interesting things that go on in Texas. They were hit pretty hard by the Harvey hurricane. Lots of issues, lots of, unfortunately, recovery problems. We've talked about some of the FEMA issues that are apparently going on in Texas after the storm on our shows on Iron Rim. But we haven't really touched it too much here. But let's just say that there's some bad things. There are some problems getting help to people. There are people who are without homes. They've had to open some dams and get rid of some of the water. We're actually getting hit with a little rain down this way this weekend, but it doesn't seem it's already gone through, so not too bad there. But anyway, after all of the bad news Texas has had, finally, some good news for Texas. Coming up in December, Texas' first medical cannabis dispensary is set to open. It's going to be in Schulenburg, Texas. And if you're a registered Texas patient, you'll be able to actually call in and pick up your order right there at the store. The Texas medical cannabis law, which is known as the Compassionate Use Program, it works basically like this. Patients with epilepsy and a doctor's recommendation can register with the state, and that allows them to visit one of their 3 licensed dispensaries to purchase their cannabis oil, which can only contain 0.5% THC or less in order for it to be legal in that state. It can either be inhaled with a vaporizer, which is what I do with my CBD oil, or it can be taken sublingually, which I've actually tried those drops as well when I was in Oregon. Jose Hidalgo, who is the owner of Knox Medical, the dispensary there in Schulenburg, says that they are the first dispensary to be licensed in the state. They actually have a license. He actually has a licensed a licensed cannabis operation in Florida and Puerto Rico. But he decided to choose Texas State this time around in the city of Schulenburg. And it's a little town, about 3,000 residents. But coming up in December, you will actually be able to call in and pick up your order at the location. And, of course, you'll be able to do it online as well. So some good news for Texas after some of the bad.
Got to start somewhere.
Hey, it starts small and it grows from there. That's how that's how Oregon started with medical, very limited, and then it expanded and grew from there. And now it's kind of a wonderland, if you will. So even Louisiana actually has a medical program. You pretty much have to be on death's door from cancer to actually be able to participate in that program, but there is one in place, and there's been a considerable amount of decriminalization work. So, like in New Orleans, if you get caught walking around smoking cannabis, you actually would just receive a ticket now and not be arrested on site, as used to be the case in this lovely state of mine. So, progress.
Yeah, here in Missouri, they've always said it was decriminalized under, I think, 28 grams. So any 28 grams or less would just get a ticket. But that was never my experience.
Right. I have friends myself who never were lucky enough to have that awesome experience of just getting a ticket. So,
nope.
Well, hey, it starts somewhere. If your state has medical or even recreational, great. If your state doesn't, get involved. It's actually all about voting. I know on the national level for the president, it tends to be more of a puppet show than anything else. But actually, there are things that you can affect in your area, in your town, in your city, in your state. Get out there, find out what's going on with the legislation towards cannabis legalization, cannabis for medical use. Find out who's for it, who's against it. Let your votes reflect that. You know, if there's someone in your area who's all about trying to get this all worked out, everybody getting some relief for their issues, then that would be the person I would back, support. Flip that coin. If there's someone who tends to be against this, then do everything you can to make sure they don't have a say in your government, in your state, or your local area. So get out there, get involved, get your voice heard. If you can't be an advocate, if you can't be out there marching in the streets, get online, make a few clicks with your mouse. There are ways to make your voice heard. So you can even call in to crazy radio shows at 6 a.m. and they might say something about it for you. Get in the chat. Who knows?
So I have 2 words for people that want to get out there and get active. Jury nullification. So that any jury that finds that a man was doing the right thing, regardless whether it was guilty of breaking the law or not, if they think it's an unjust law, even if he's guilty, they can choose to let him go free and find him not guilty. They can nullify the whole law itself. That's the power of the jury. So just remember that.
It is something you actually have a lot more power than you might think. I was unfortunately called into an issue in my little town, and I had to serve some jury duty, and the evidence that was presented to me definitely left a lot of doubt and a lot of holes in the testimony of the officers who were prosecuting. So I let that be known in my little group, and they were not happy because they were all ready to convict and get on about their day. And I was ready to do right by law. So I made lots of unhappy people for the next 12 to 14 hours.
So I just want to put this out here, just a reminder. Anybody that's a big fan of Billy Ray Valentine and the Infinite Fringe and the work that we do there, we are actually going to have Billy Ray Valentine on our YouTube channel this coming Friday. So if you're a big fan of what Billy Ray does right here on Truth Frequency Radio, just go ahead and follow us on over there on Friday. Or, you know what, do it some other time during the weekend. I know TFR's got some pretty good shows on Friday. We're always there. You can download that stuff anytime. Maybe you got to be here listening live to TFR so you can download us later. That'd be all right, too.
Absolutely. We actually had some interesting stuff going on last week on our show on Flat Earth Friday. We had an interesting guest, Stan Smith, who has a little team that they do quite a bit of 360 videos. If you haven't experienced this, you can go to YouTube, just put in 360 videos, and what you can do is hold your your cell phone up with the screen and kind of scan around, look around in 3D, literally see a 3-dimensional area with the phone. If you're lucky enough to have the VR glasses, you can put those glasses on and really look around in these 360 videos and see some amazing stuff. I have the goggles. I was actually able to put on and see some of Stan's work. You will watch the sun travel across the sky. You will watch the moon travel across the sky. Not a video. It's right up there. You're looking and watching it pass right overhead. So it's pretty amazing stuff. Now, what he presented last week, I unfortunately had to check out of the show a little bit earlier. But going back and listening to it, it was some mind-blowing stuff. One of the theories we've all worked with, kind of played around with, is the fact that the sun isn't an object. It obviously isn't 93 million miles away, but that it's not an object. It's not a flaming ball of gas. It's not a floating rock. It's not a thing as we understand it. I always lean towards the fact that it's a focal point of energy, transmitting energy from somewhere else, from the ether, from another dimension, bringing it into our realm, almost like a magnifying glass focal point. So basically you're getting your own personal sun. That's why that light column goes from the sunset across the water to you, and then the person right next to you has their own personal light column traveling from that sunset across the water to them. And between you and that person, whether they're 2 feet away from you or whether they're 30 miles down the beach, they're going to get their own individual light column, and you're getting your own individual light column. And there's not a big wash of light across that expanse of water between you guys. So that's that whole idea, for me anyway, of us each seeing and having our own personal view of the sun, almost like a rainbow. So what Stan and his guys, or I guess Stan more than the rest, I haven't finished the show, but they're actually leading the idea that we each have our own personal sky when we look up, that we're seeing our own personal sky. I don't know. It's hard to really grasp, again, those whole audio, video, visual clues help considerably when trying to explain something like this. But Josh, you actually participated in the discussion more than I did. You may be able to enlighten our listeners a bit more on this idea that they were talking about, sir.
Well, this is, again, it gets to be one of those things where I'm already handicapped to begin with, but when you're on the radio trying to talk about a video, it makes it even worse for me. That's kind of the gist of it. When you think of like a rainbow and the way the rainbow works, and you don't ever really get closer to it necessarily, it sort of come up on it and then it disappears. It just sort of sits there, then it's gone. Because it's not really a physical object, a rainbow. It's more of an optical effect in the sky. So you're never going to touch it. You're never going to reach it. It's never going to be there because it's not there to begin with. And apparently Stan is pretty well. I don't think they're all on the
right.
personal sky. I do think Cosmic Surfer Rolf, I think he's not quite there yet. But I know Stan is definitely convinced based on all the info they have, and they have a ton of it.
My goodness.
I think there's 3 of them. Well, 3, they're getting more and more people to join with them. It's like $50. You buy a 360 camera and you just put it out there and you just record. And then you upload that recording to YouTube. And basically they'll take that and they will do the rest, and they plot it out and they take the data and they interpolate it and they take care of it and they start plotting all this stuff out. They do a lot of really good work. It's so hard. Okay, it's like this. As hard as it is for me to explain a video on the radio,
right?
That's how hard it is for Stan to explain a 360 video on YouTube flat screen when you're to guys not watching it in a VR headset. So, Again, I'm still handicapped by the fact that I've not even watched any of these things in a VR headset yet. So, yeah, I don't know really what it's showing because I've not seen it.
Well, the idea of the personal sky is, I mean, again, that's just one of those next leaps to aha to me. It would explain a lot. And definitely I'm going to dig further into it. I myself was looking at possibly investing in the 360 camera. I don't know when I would have time to deal with that and download and analyze the footage. I'd have to just send it over to Stan and the boys and let them play with it.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I was just looking right here at some of the headlines. The AP headlines. First headline says, fake news is still here despite efforts by Google and Facebook. And then the next one down says, SpaceX launches 10 more Iridium communication satellites.
Irony? Anyone?
My goodness. I love it. So big tech has big plans to help reconnect Puerto Rico, who's been devastated by a hurricane, apparently. And I guess even though that's all we're doing is trying to get the infrastructure back up and we're not really helping with the people so much. And I know President Trump's taking a lot of flack for that. And he's saying, well, we're busy trying to get the power up and the water going and everybody with clean water. But meanwhile, everybody's still suffering. I guess now all these big tech companies are having to jump in and take control because he still hasn't done much.
Well, I know the president, the Puerto Rican president, was just irate. The last speech I heard, as far as the help they're not getting, and in response, the FEMA head basically was saying to the press, not to the Puerto Rican president, that we've filtered this guy out at this point. We're not really listening anymore. We're just trying to get the power back on, like you say. So it's really, I would be frustrated if it was my country and I was trying to get help to people, and this was the response that I basically was laughed off in the news by these people who are supposed to be out there helping us. Same people who are parking prison ships in Port Arthur, Texas. But I'm the crazy one. I watch too many YouTube videos.
And on a lighter note, I do see that this headline, it just says, watching Netflix's Stranger Things is likely to cost you more. I did see this a few days ago as a headline that the prices for Netflix will be going up. And it's funny the way they worded that headline is because I suspect Stranger Things does have a lot to do with the price increase. It's huge popularity, which I think really says a lot that that particular TV show would be so hugely popular given the amount of tie-ins it has into the real life conspiracies and the conspiracy theories you can find on that are so prevalent on YouTube. They're everywhere. But there's some really crazy stuff going on I almost said Needful Things, on Stranger Things. So I'm really looking forward to season 2. I know Billy Ray Valentine has plans to do a show on breaking that season down or breaking that show down. Probably season 1 right before this one comes out. So you can expect that one to be coming up soon on the Infinite
Great stuff.
Yeah, that should be exciting.
There are amazing levels of both hidden knowledge and just right in your face, not even hidden knowledge in that show, indeed. If anyone has researched the Montauk Project at any level, it reeks throughout that show. It's just all through there. MK Ultra, Dimensional, you name something fringe and they have it either up front right there or tucked away as a little Easter egg for someone to find. I also saw that they're looking to do a new season of The X-Files coming up. Mulder and Scully will be out and about with their, I guess, getting ready to give us the next series of false flags and plans that the elite have in place, because that's pretty much what the last season they did was all about. Lots of things that were both happening in the news at the time and some things that came to pass. That's another breakdown, would be a great one to see, and we might have to do that on our little show sometime, sir.
Yeah, I think that'd be a good idea, because this last season of the X-Files can really be split into 2 parts. You have the first episode and the last episode, and then you have everything in between.
There you go. There you go.
So if you ever,
I used to be a huge fan. I didn't finish up with it. It kind of got a little out there, and just even for me, I was really losing a lot of. I had done a lot of research in the UFO field. I had met and talked to so many people, experiences myself, experiences with people I know personally, and just I was seeing a lot of spin, a lot of control, a lot of disinformation that was being put out in the show that was really frustrating to me. So I just kind of had left it alone. But that last season they put out really was, as you say, the first and the last. The rest was, I guess, Creature of the Week again. That's what they kind of were throwing in.
If you look at those episodes, those filler episodes in between the first and the last, it was basically sort of touching on all the other conspiracies that have sort of come out since the X-Files had last since been on the air. Whether it's reptilians and David Icke and sort of the way that's taken off, or I don't even remember the rest of some of those filler episodes, but basically you can go through and it's just more just sort of touching on here's what some people think and here's what some other people think and here's what some other people think. And then here's this crazy information. UFOs are really from the government and aliens aren't real. If you get a chance, you really need to go back and watch it with that discerning eye and just watch episode 1 and it was like 6 or 7. They didn't put very many out for that season, but the first and the last episode, you should really check them out. And for that, Stranger Things breakdown coming up on the Infinite Fringe with Billy Ray Valentine, that's going to be at the Sunday 4 to 5 slot. We have to remember that Billy Ray Valentine in the Infinite Fringe has moved, so you can find I, and Ben Hameen over there this Sunday from 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. So, yeah, I look forward to doing that show. That's going to be a lot of fun. I'm going to have to go back and start watching that one again now, probably. Get that in a few times before I start writing up the breakdown.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Great show. Great show. I loved it. I've watched it for the whole season, I guess, straight through the first time, and then I went back maybe 6-8 weeks later and watched it again, and then that's it. So I myself would have to go back and review it for sure. So I can't wait to see that or hear that.
A lot of fun. So we got about 4 minutes left, thereabouts. Anything you want to cover before we take off and get out of here?
Well, just again, everybody, we appreciate you guys letting us ramble on here in the morning with you. Hopefully, we brought something to you didn't know about. Hopefully, you'll go in, dig for yourself, find out a little bit more about it. We are planning shows. Drop us a line here at TFR. You can also get with us at ironrealmmedia@gmail.com. We love to hear from people. That's kind of one of our benchmarks at Iron Realm Media, and hopefully something we can continue forth here with the Ironworx. Getting people's story out there. You wake up to some of these truths and suddenly you find yourself basically alone in your own family. Sometimes people aren't seeing things your way. You are waking up. They're still asleep. You're trying to show them stuff. They're ridiculing you. You're losing friends left and right. It sometimes is just a lifesaver to find out that not only are there other people who have seen through some of the lies, they're helping others see it. They're wanting others to wake up. They're doing everything they can, honestly, earnestly, from the heart, from just a deep place, wanting to help people see. There's no reason to fear. There's no reason to be afraid. We're more powerful and we outnumber the evil psychopaths by so many numbers. It's just exponential, the amount that we could put forth, the amount of effort and energy. So hopefully you'll look at some of this, dig into it, give us a call, give us an email, let us know what you're interested in, what your story is, what's kind of woken you up. Let us know. We want to tell people about it. We want people to know that, hey, we're not a bunch of loony tinfoil hatters. We're just like you. We're your brothers, sisters, mothers, cousins, uncles, aunts. We have some questions. We want to see a little bit more truth and a lot less BS.
So I did go ahead and get a Twitter account. So you can find a show account. We are at The Ironworx with an X. And we do have an email, so you can find us at feworx@gmail.com. That's feworx. Ironworx, feworx@gmail.com. Just remember we use it with an X. We've got about 60 seconds before we get out of here. I just want to thank everybody for tuning in. We've had a great show, a great time today. Feeling a little bit better, a little bit more awake, not quite so groggy as I was yesterday coming out of it. Still pretty amped, still pretty pumped, so that's good. There's no way I'm going to bed anytime soon. Walt, I'm so glad you could join me today. We had a blast.
I love it.
Yeah, me too. This is great. I'm so glad we get to hang out. I can't wait till we get James on here. Be back to the three of us, just like the old days, just hanging out, doing a little triptych stuff. So it's time for us to get out of here. Thanks, everybody. We'll be back next Friday, 4 a.m. to 6 a.m. I love you guys very much. And we'll see you in the next couple days. In the meantime, just stay good, stay thoughtful, and be on the lookout for anything nefarious.